What's up guys, Nathan here. Today I want to talk about the top 5 things that only amateur poker players and beginner poker players say. This is going to be a fun one. Let's jump into it right now. Alright guys, so having been around the game of poker for nearly 20 years and having played this game as a professional for over 10 years, I've heard a lot of crazy stuff at the poker tables over the years, so I wanted to make a video talking about the top 5 things that I've heard, our fishy friends, amateurs, people just starting out in the game, they have a couple misconceptions, so I'm going to go over a lot of those today. So counting down from 5 to 1, let's jump right into it. Number 5 is limping is a good idea. No, actually, it's not a good idea. In almost any situation ever at the poker table, whether that's in a cash game, tournament, sit and go, live, online, Chinese poker, I don't care what you're playing. Let me define limping first off for those who don't know what it is. Guys, limping is the act of simply calling the big blind pre-flop when you were the first person in the pot, or limping behind if somebody else is already in there. Guys, this is almost always a terrible idea in poker for the simple reason that you are entering the pot passively. You are starting off by basically announcing to the table, hey guys, I'm super weak. You can just take this pot away from me. I don't really care. I'm just in here to have some fun. What's going to happen, guys, is somebody like me is going to come in there and just raise you up, bet into you on the flop and the turn, and just take the pot away from you. Guys, as I've mentioned many times in these videos, aggressive poker is winning poker. You want to take charge. And you don't actually even have to believe me. In my first book, Crushing the Micro Stakes, I literally laid out evidence from my database of 10 million hands where it was statistically proven that it is far more profitable to enter the pot with a raise, to let the table know you're in charge, because you simply give yourself far more ways to win the pot when you're wearing the pants in the hand, when you're the one in charge. So guys, for example, you got pocket sixes in middle position, you should raise. Do not just call the big blind, guys. Raise it up. Let people know you're serious. Let's move on to thing number 4 that you're going to hear amateurs say a lot at the poker table, and that is, I need to see where I'm at. Guys, no, you don't need to see where you're at in poker. This one is absolutely full of fail for the simple reason that somebody like me is just going to show you where you're at by bluff raising you out of the pot. Let me give you an example once again. You've got queen jack offsuit in the big blind. You call a raise. By the way, if you want to know exactly what hands to play in all situations, I have charts and so on for every single seat at the poker table in my free poker cheat sheet. That'll be the top link in the description below. I'm not going to cover that in today's video, but queen jack, we're going to be playing this hand, big blind, you call a raise, flop comes down with the ace of diamonds, jack of clubs, and 5 of hearts. So decent flop, yes. We have middle pair, good kicker, but guys, this is not the nuts. This is not like, wow, oh my god, time to go all in. The thing is though, a lot of amateurs here will make what we call a donk bet, and that is that they will make a bet against the flow of action. Remember, we're the pre-flop caller here, we're not the pre-flop raiser, and also a donk bet is often for a very, very small amount, which is mathematically insignificant, and therefore somebody like me is just going to raise you on this flop. I could have pocket 4s, I could have 8, 9, it doesn't even matter. I'm going to raise you up, and you're going to end up folding your superior hand. Guys, do not make silly bets like this. Honestly, you should just check call most of the time in this situation. Check raising is not a good play either, because that's overplaying your hand. That's a topic I've covered in many other videos. Guys, just check call in this spot here. It's the only thing you need to do. You don't need to see where you're at in poker. All right, let's move on to thing number 3 you're gonna hear amateurs say a lot at the poker table, and that is, I need to make the call. Now I put the little fish symbol beside there because honestly, guys, you're gonna see our fishy friends say this the most. Guys, I've said it many times in these videos before, there is no such thing as a crying call in poker. There's only such a thing as bad calls. When the nit, who is the tightest player at the table, again, I'm not gonna go into player types in this video, it's all covered in my free poker cheat sheet, top link in the description below. When the nit, who is the tightest player at the poker table, has been sitting there waiting for their pocket aces for the last, half an hour, don't hear a peep out of them, they're quietly folding every hand. When they raise you on the turn and you got your pocket aces, guys, you need to be folding in this situation. You do not need to see it. That is what amateurs do. They need to call the way down just so they can see the bad news, lose a big pot, and then go complain about all their terrible luck, whereas at the the good poker player will simply have the discipline and knowledge from their experience at the poker table, having been raised in this situation by the tightest player at the table 10 million times and having seen the bad news. Let me give you an example. Once again, you've got pocket aces, ace of spades and ace of diamonds, and by the turn, the board reads 7 of diamonds, 6 of spades, 4 of hearts, and 10 of spades. You make a bet here, the tightest player at the table raises you. Guys, please, fold your hand in this situation. You don't need to see it. What does this player have? They got pocket 7s, pocket 6s, pocket 4s, pocket 10s, or they just hit the nut straight on the turn with the 9-8. Guys are going to have one of these hands literally every single time. The nits, the tightest player at the table, also the most passive player at the table. They're never going to raise you here with they got pocket jacks or, you know, king 10 or something like that. They're just going to call with that hand. So guys, all good players know to make the fold here. Amateur players, on the other hand, need to see it and they get shown the bad news and lose a big pot. So let's move on to thing number 2 that you see amateurs saying a lot is that I don't need to make a thin value bet. Guys, the fail is literally off the charts in this one. I'm going to talk you through an example right now of what a thin value bet is, but as I mentioned in these videos before, by the way, make sure you subscribe so you never miss my new poker strategy videos here, is that these bets on the river, which is what we're going to discuss right now, thin value bet, this is often the difference between break-even players and big winners in today's games because win rates are relatively small in today's games. They're often around 3 big blinds per 100, 5 big blinds per 100 in online games, maybe a little bit higher in live games, but not too much more. So the thing is, guys, is on the river, this is statistically, the pot is of course the biggest on this street because it's the last street in Texas Hold'em. So if you miss even a small bet of, you know, 3 big blinds and you do this consistently in a long-term statistical game like poker, this is going to add up massively over the long run. And this is why this is literally the difference between winners and losers. So once again, let me give you an example here. You've got 8, 7 of spades, nice little suited connectors, definitely a hand that I play a lot. And you raise it up pre-flop and a fish calls you, one of our fishy friends. By the river, the board reads the king of diamonds, 6 of spades, 7 of hearts, 3 of diamonds, 2 of spades. So let's assume you made a bet on the flop, fish called, maybe it went check check on the turn, pretty standard stuff. Guys, you should be making a bet on the river here. Yes, we didn't improve our hand, we didn't make any kind of backdoor flush, we didn't make 2 pair trips, anything like that, but we still have second pair on this board with a mediocre kicker, which is far ahead of the range of a recreational player. A lot of people will convince themselves here, oh my god, they called me on the flop, he must have a king. No guys, that's just a very small percentage of their range. They're also going to have a ton of other crappy hands like a 6, like maybe even a worse 7, you never know. They might have hit a 3 or a deuce on the turn and river. Fish don't fold these hands, guys. They call anything. Sometimes they'll just call you down with pocket 4s here. Sometimes they will just call you with ace high. Literally, they'll have ace queen or ace jack here and they just won't fold because, you know, that's what fish do. They don't like to fold for any amount. So guys, you need to make a 50% of the pot value bet here, and that's important, by the way. A lot of people will bet too much or too little here. Remember all the hands we just talked about. We want to give them a reason to call, so we don't want to bet too much. They're just going to throw away their ace queen or their pocket 4s, but we don't want to bet too little either so that we don't get enough value. Guys, bottom line, no good poker player is ever going to miss a bet here. Don't be afraid of the handful of times that they're going to call you down. They're going to make the call here and show you king jack. It's going to happen sometimes, guys. It is a small part of their range that they have a king here. You have to understand the vast majority of their range is not a king, and you're missing clear value in a situation like this, which adds up as a snowball effect in a massive way over the long run. Alright guys, let's move on to the number one thing that you always get to hear our amateur friends say at the poker table, and I'm sure it's no surprise to anyone, is that it's all rigged against me. Guys, you can go to any poker room these days. You can go anywhere on the internet where we're talking about poker. You can even go in the comment section below this video and somebody's gonna be telling you about how their ace king got cracked 3 times last night and that poker site is rigged against them and there's too many setups at that poker room in Las Vegas or whatever. Every poker site, guys, even the home games with their friends are rigged these days. Guys, the reality of the game of poker, I'm not saying, by the way, that this doesn't happen happen from time to time. You should always be aware of what poker game you're playing in. But the vast majority of poker games actually are legit. The biggest winners, by the way, are the poker sites and the poker rooms, so it makes 0 sense for them to rig anything. The reality of poker is that this is a game of cold, hard math, odds, and statistics, and everybody's going to get the exact same amount of bad beats, coolers, setups, and the like over the long run if you play enough hands. There are a lot of people that simply cannot handle this long-term nature of the game. They get so wrapped up and obsessed in their day-to-day results. Once again, they'll be peddling their bad beat stories about how their ace-king got cracked 3 times last night at the final table. Guys, it literally doesn't matter. 3 hands is a statistical 0 in poker. It doesn't mean anything. You have to understand that your results in this game only matter over the course of months and years. I honestly do not even look at my results on a day-to-day or even week-to-week basis because I understand statistically they do not matter. They can be all over the place. Up, down. It doesn't matter. You only want to have more ups over the long run. That's the whole point of poker. There is a ton of short-term variance in this game, guys, and you must make peace with that if you're ever going to have real success in this game. You must understand that poker is a long-term game and you need to be in this game for the long run. Guys, don't get wrapped up in every single bad beat like the amateur players do and let it get to your head, because that's the surest path to failure in this game. Guys, I hope that these 5 sort of what not to do at the poker table helped you guys out. Like and subscribe if you found this video helpful in any way, and also if you want to know my entire strategy to crush the small and mid-stakes games, once again, make sure you grab a copy of my free poker cheat sheet. I'll link that up as the top link in the description below. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Never say these 5 crazy things at the poker table. This has been Nathan Williams with BlackRain79.com.